Welcome to the Shikama Live Show. Today, with your host Shikama. Today is, of course, Valentine's Day. That is the day in the United States where men are supposed to buy women presents, gifts. But let me point out that January 1st, men are supposed to buy women gifts, which is preceded by Christmas, where men are supposed to buy gifts. Oh, I know it's a season of gift giving, but men are supposed to fund not only their gifts, and it's supposed to be a family thing, but men are supposed to fund the children giving gifts, and the wife giving gifts, and the son giving gifts to the mom and dad, and even on Father's Day, men supply the money to give for people to pretend to give him gifts, which is also preceded by then Thanksgiving, where men are supposed to supply the money to buy the food for Thanksgiving, and which is preceded by Halloween, where men are supposed to supply. You know I'm building up to something, right? I'm not just iterating that men are supposed to buy. You like my hat? I'm subtle at times, and I have to be not so subtle. So I have to point out and beat people over the head with stuff. Everything that you see that I do is done with the purpose. There's nothing that I do not do without a purpose. Nothing is by accident. So I have to point out stuff. So you like my hat? Happy Valentine's Day. Before I get into the rest of this, I want to say that the bottom fell out on my finances, and come to find out that a lot of YouTubers are in the same situation, where they dedicate their lives to being YouTubers, and they keep trying to going, and then every step that we take forward, YouTube comes back and destroys anything that we think that we know about YouTube. They redo their policies. I'm in the doghouse right now because they redid a policy and then gave me a community strike retroactively some year on a video that I did years and years and years ago. Our new policy is that you can't make that type of video. So me, who doesn't say anything really controversial, got a community strike for a video that I did years ago. But of course, the gist of it is that when I talk, I am very subtle about the way that I talk, and also people aren't really, they're not really up on their English, nor English comprehension, nor do they understand the subtleties of the intellectual. I'm not questioning people's intelligence. I'm questioning the educational system that does not teach people what being eloquent really means. Being eloquent really means that you're splitting hairs and using this word instead of that word, and this word actually means this, But so people mistakenly thought I was saying something when I was talking about money. In fact, if you want to donate to help me and get a computer, I've been trying to get this computer together to actually. I'm on a phone. This is a phone on my tripod, which is also very limited in editing and anything else. So I can't do much of anything. YouTube allows you to edit the very end, so you don't see me going, "All right, thank you, bye," and then pushing and clicking the thing, so you can edit that a couple of seconds out. or you could edit the very beginning when I click the thing, so, and that's about it. I want to get a computer so that you will see a completely different. I can show charts. I can do the whole thing. I can make it look like the 6 o'clock news if you wanted to. So donate at paypal.me/Shikama. And then you can write in a note. This is for the computer. Approximately $5,000 is what I'm trying to raise. Now, a lot of people say, "Why are you begging for money?" Well, I want to point out that because I don't have, I'm not a woman, that people say stuff like that. "Oh, why are you begging?" If I were a woman, there would be none of this. "Why are you begging?" They'd be all like, "Oh, sign me up," because I would have huge assets to my advantage. Speaking of which, in Japan, Valentines is celebrated a completely different way. In Japan, women buy men stuff, and they celebrate with a male fertility parade. And they walk down the street in the parade with male fertility apparent objects, right? And they have symbols of male fertility. It's not the Ankh from Egypt. It's the male fertility symbols. And you can guess what that is. I'm not going to say anything. So women buy the men stuff. Now, in the West, of course, the women would say, "Why on earth would I do?" Because every other holiday, it's the men providing for the women, and the men providing for the women for all other days. So the same thing in Japan. It's the men who provide the money and the means for the lifestyle. So they take out one day out of the year to say, "Hey guys, thank you. Thank you for funding everything else." And they do, in fact, reach into their own pocket and buy the men gifts on Valentine's Day in Japan. I think we should implement that in the United States at least also, so that we could take one day and say, "Hey, now we have, what is it, Children's Day, Mother's Day, and Father's Day," but they're trying to do away just with Father's Day. They're trying to do away with that worldwide, and I don't mean like not have it. I'm saying that they're trying to represent other people on Father's Day, not Mother's Day. They're not trying to take that away, but they're trying to replace fathers. That in other countries, namely Australia, they're saying that Father's Day is offensive, straight up offensive. So I think Valentine's Day should be for men, because it's just men providing for all the. It's a commercial. It's the most commercial, besides Christmas, the most commercial holiday that we have, and it's strictly commercial. Christmas, there is some sort of traditional observance, and it stems from there is an actual good reason for Christmas, or there used to be a good reason. In this modern time, we don't have the things that are surround the negativity of the reason that Christmas was actually or the winter solstice was implemented, and there was a reason, and there was some bad aspect, and let's just say in the northern hemisphere it was a devastating time of year, so there was a reason for implementing it exactly at the time that they implemented it, right? In the northern hemisphere, there was devastation across the land. I'll just tell you, at that time of year, in the agrarian society that they had already done the harvest during the Halloween period, right? They've already done the harvest there. So they took in the food and stored it up and so forth and so on. Now the food was supposed to be, you know, rationed out over the winter months. So we're talking about, you know, but during a time when people didn't have light bulbs, right? So come around Christmas time, the population would die down, and it wasn't until spring that you then starting have births and stuff like that. So you know, so they had to renew the entire population every spring and summer, right? So to stop that, they implemented a winter solstice time for people to actually, you know, it was dark, it was depressing, so they implemented a holiday. Very intelligent. I mean, we have to give man credit where credit is due. Lights, festivity. So there wasn't this tremendous sadness during that time of year, because it was dark and sad, you know, and people didn't have food, so there would be starvation across the land, and the population would just die off. Sometimes entire whole cities would just die off during that time. So they implemented the winter solstice, and people flourished and stayed alive and kept going. So that is a very good reason. It's not, of course, in the modern times, it's just a commercial excuse, right? But there was a good reason for it, and I believe in the Northern Hemisphere, it is still that same good reason to keep going with that observance of that tradition. Now, Valentine's Day has none of that. Well, there's nothing. They implemented Valentine's Day simply to thwart the long period between Christmas and summer, when there's basically no holidays to really speak of. There's no massive, especially for retail outlets. So the retail outlets were saying, hey, we need a holiday in the early part of the year to make some money. So we need to give people an excuse to go shopping. And so that's Valentine's Day. In other parts of the world, like Japan, it's women buying men stuff to give them thanks for supporting them for the entire rest of the year. What do you get on Father's Day? A tie? Well, what do you get? A tie? Some golf clubs if you're into that. But for the most of us, we get almost nothing on Father's Day. And in fact, because of the modern times, we're trying to get away from that. So there's not really a holiday to say, hey, thanks men, for being there, right? There is no holiday. And in these modern times, women can afford to actually buy real in fact presents. But in these modern times, with the millennials who are not dating, who are saying right off the top they are not going to get married. Like I said last year, they came out with reports of studies and saying that 35% of all millennial men said right off the top, no, they will not get married. Oh, I left out the part where a lot of millennials said that no, they're not going to have children, regardless of getting married, which I believe is the only reason to get married, is to have children. There's no reason to get married if the point of it is that you're not going to have children, because The whole idea of marriage was to have a succession. You get married because you want to document who has successions, who has inheritance. So when you have the children, there is no mistaking that the mother and the father have this child, and he or she will inherit from these two people. Otherwise, there's no especially in these modern times, there's no reason to get married. Outside of that, there's no reason to get married, and this is why they even had the shotgun weddings, right? So that the children could have inheritance. That was the whole point of it. So if you're not going to have children, there's no reason. Now this, I'm speaking as strictly legal, right? This idea of love was as a modern promotion, a modern propaganda that they came up with. And the whole idea of love is on Valentine's Day. So let's be like Japan and have women. Yesterday was Galentine's Day. That's gals buying presents for gals. They're gal friends. This was supposed to be for all women. I went into the store and said, Happy Galentine's Day. Then I explained that it was women buying presents for women. And I said, oh, no, I'm not done with it. Everybody in the store. So, when I walk around and go into stores and places, I talk to the entire store, all the customers, all the staff, everybody. I say it's Galentine's Day, where women buy presents for other women, their best friends, their BFFs, and they say, "Oh no, I'm not down with that. I'm not buying my friend nothing." These are women talking. So there you have it. They're not down with not even their friends. Women don't really want to come up off of money, and we have some female comedians who said, once you have to dig into your purse, everything else dries up, right? Anyway, happy Valentine's Day. And to my female subscribers and viewers, happy Valentine's Day. And to all my male subscribers and viewers, happy Valentine's Day. I love all of you all tremendously. And finally, we're getting some views on the channel, and the channel would be successful. And there is a future for the channel. Thank you all for watching.